Oh, darlings, the Beach Boys. We can still hear that music, man. I don't know about you, but babies, all my life, through and through, since I was a tiny little child, I've heard this musical accompaniment helping me along through life. All them sweet tunes like the Beach Boys, they weren't around when I was tiny. They came along just a little after that. But man, there was, Patsy Cline and, Hank Williams and Leslie Gore and a whole bunch of others, helping me, fly my way into this life and fly my way through it, man. It's like I'm living in a movie all the time, man, with that musical accompaniment all the time. There's an automatic song comes up any moment that's happening. And you always hear it inside your heart, inside your soul, inside your hide, man, It's like the angels are singing to you, only in pop and rock and roll, man. A little bit of country western and a little bit of western country and all that good shite, man. Yeah. As you spread your wings and take flight, moment to moment in this life. Yeah, that's right, baby. You got the morning wake-up call here on the Coyote Medicine Show with Grandpaw Koyote, your host. Sweet Mary Jane beside me, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, my little dachshund, my little doggy, right behind me as my assistant DJ, baby. You got a whole lot of love coming your way from 9,000 feet high in the Rocky Mountain sky. Yes, indeed, the spaceship love. Yeah, babies. We fly high here, babies. But this is just where we take off. 9,000 feet, shoot. That's just the beginning, man. Ooh, darlings, we've been invaded by some snaky presences too, man. It's a rare thing to see, rattlesnakes in this area. And here's one popped up yesterday. Boy, I thought it was going to get Okie, man. I tell you what, if this guy got a bite on him, holy shit, he wouldn't have stood a chance. I would have had to do a little miracle healing real quick, Ooh, baby. But as we did miracle protection. The angels took good care of him, and even though he startled this rascal and got him up and rattling, oh my God, I couldn't believe the size of that guy's head. Jeez, you don't see big-ass snakes like that outside of, down there central to southern New Mexico and West Texas. That's where you get the big ones like that. This guy, he's probably only 3-4 foot long, but he's like 4 or 5 inches thick in his head. Oh, it's broad, man. If he'd have got a hold on my little poor old Okie, thank goodness the angels protected him. But if he'd have got a hold on them, that would have been dangerous turf right away. So if you're out here playing in the woods, just know that that's the first one I've seen in all my years in Crestone here. But just know that, they do hang out. And I had a friend, 3-4 years ago, got bit walking in the road down in the dark down there by what everybody thought was a rattlesnake. Maybe it was this same guy. That's about 6-8 miles from here. So he might have come over this way over the next few years, or send his cousins over, whatever. But here we are out here in the boonies, man. And you got to be prepared for anything in the boondocks. There's a lot of life here that we're not really consciously aware of. Now, if we can be in our heart presence, baby, if we can be feeling ourselves and flowing with life, guess what? All the life around you, even the rattlesnakes, are complimentary, man. And nobody's going to hurt anybody. And we're all just going to be free as free can be. Just like Free Day Friday on the Coyote Medicine Show. Only on the Hazy Radio Network. And and if you ever should be so unfortunate as to get bit by one of these little serpentine beans, man, and they lay a little venom on you, lay a little love on the venom, it's gone, man. It's detoxed and neutralized immediately, And yeah, don't go pushing it, Don't do like these crazy people in Tennessee and start tempting the snake to bite you, because it sure as hell will sooner or later. And then maybe it'll work for you, the loving neutralization of the toxicity, and maybe it won't, because you're showing off, You might restrict yourself in some way. I mean, you got to pay attention to this. Inside of you, this deep intuition, which is much more than intuition, of course. Just a word to describe it somewhatly so you'll get the idea, don't you see? That deep intuition always knows, and it's just that we're in the part of self-correcting, because it has been harbored itself in duality, so man, it can condemn you as well as condone you, these little inner feelings you see. I mean, way down deep, down there below your surface conscious presence most often, but see, you're becoming conscious of that. And as you do, these attitudes become self-correcting. And you would never push your luck like that. It's like the time, 10, 15, 20 years ago, I guess it's 15 years ago or so, I just had to give up my motorcycle. Because I was being too much of a teenager and I couldn't stop myself. I was doing crazy stuff, zipping up and down the highway at very high speeds, taking corners at 100 miles an hour plus, stuff like that, you know. I was just, even though I'm a good rider and all that stuff, I was just pushing my angels a bit too hard, you see what I mean? It's the same idea as what you've been doing with the rattlesnakes down there in Tennessee. Just relax, take it easy, don't push your luck, man. Don't go challenging the reality to kill you, because it may just want to do it. Maybe it's your time to go home. Don't do that, babies, you know. Take it easy on yourself. If you see yourself being wild and reckless and you can't contain that emotional feeling, well, let go of the wild and reckless for just a little bit. Find some other means by which to get your thrills. You know, there's always a way. There's always something else coming into play. You don't have to do it the dangerous way, you know. I made a habit of it. That's another thing I did from the time I was a tiny kid. Sorry to say, but I was always a bit of a daredevil, you know, and I would do things like jump off of tall haystacks and stuff like that, and encourage my buddies to do the same too. I've always been a little reckless, and boy, when I got on my first motorcycle and found out I could really ride this little sucker, it was just it came natural to me, just like breathing almost. Well, son of a gun, set me free, man. It's like, you know, without the angelic assistance, I don't think any of us would live to see 1821. You know what I mean? Goodness gracious, took some awful chances back there. But you don't see them as chances when you're young and enthusiastic. You see them as a challenge for your quote skill or whatever it is you're inhabiting in that moment. That's what I was seeing with skillful driving rising up in me. I wanted to go race motorcycles because I really felt good on them, and I really felt like I could do that and have a lot of fun and not get too busted up doing it, you know. Maybe not at all. Maybe I'd be one of those blessed ones, never broke a bone. Well, guess what? Here I am 60 years later, and I never broke a bone on a motorcycle. Thought I did a time or two, man. Out there riding dirt bike one time above Green River, Wyoming, out in that wild, beautiful country along 191 out there. Holy shit, if you ain't never been out there, get out there. Beautiful territory. This is back when I was in my 20s. I was young and crazy, of course, still. And I'm out there riding this big old 250 dirt bike, which is about twice what I need under me, but oh well, I'm handling it okay. And I started up this little cliff face, but I didn't see it had little notches in it, little 1-inch notches, and oh shit. It rattled me right off my wheels and slammed me down chest first on that hard rock. I thought I was dead already, man. And then I sit there and probably 5, 10, 15 minutes, seemed like an eternity to try and get my breath back, you know. Holy crap-a-moly, you know. That's when I decided I would take it a little easier on the dirt bikes and be a little more conscious of my presence in the reality and what I was doing, you know. And I got to looking around and all the ripping up we were doing of the turf and stuff, and I'm thinking, no, I don't want to be doing that, you know. I found quieter and calmer ways not too long after that to participate in the deserts and the wildernesses of this world, you know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Because I knew how since I was a young kid anyway, the motorcycles had just come along and said, ooh, this gonna make you feel strong. And it did for a while. But babies, you know, just like all experience, it phases. And the main phase I was going through there was seeing the angelic protection that I had and learning not to take it for granted, being wise enough to step away from it before I got hurt. And you know, as I learned that, that's why I never got hurt out there riding motorcycles. And I've probably put in, you know, maybe 100,000 miles on bikes, something like that. I can't keep track of it, but I know it's a lot. And I've had a number of bikes in my time and had a great time riding them, man. You know, I'm a hippie-ki-yo biker, man. You know, I mean, cowboy hippie biker. I just love it, man. You know, of course, my partiality is towards the rice burners because I like the smoothness and the engineering that goes into them, and they're far more road reliable than some of the more American brands. I'm sorry to say, but they are. You know, and plus, you know, they're a hell of a lot less money too for a fine-looking machine. You go buy a used one now, $1,000, $1,500. Do you just fine. Get you by. You have to shop around a little bit to find it. You can't buy it from a dealership usually, but sometimes you'll find a dealership that's tired of looking at one and they'll sell it cheap. You just got to be ready for what comes your way. But you don't want to be stupid. You don't want to be reckless. You don't want to push your luck. And when you see you're doing that, now this is any area of life. Could be riding horses, hiking mountains. Could be, walking the streets, whatever. Don't push your luck, man. Don't challenge your angels. When you already have them proven to you again and again and again, take it easy. Let them have a little rest break, will you? That's what I've had to do with mine a number of times in my life, is just give them a little time off and take it easy. Quit pushing so hard, Well, all that pushing so hard, all that running the edge all the time, man, challenging life. Ooh, I always felt like I was like, I just had to, let life know that I was willing to go there, So I did a lot. I was living life right on the edge of, life and death quite often in my life, and it didn't stop till, wow, a few years back finally, but oh my God, about the time I gave up that beautiful little Yamaha Virago, my little Yamaha Harley, boy, that's a good bike, man, I tell you what. I could beat the kids on the crotch rockets out of the light every time, man. Unless they were really skilled. There was maybe, out of about 15, 20 challenges back in the 90s, there was maybe 2 of them that could actually ride the rocket well enough to keep up with me for that first 100, 150 feet. Then, of course, they'd leave me in the dust. But I had the low end, man. Geez, I got them every time, because mostly they were kids, didn't know how to ride, It's kind of fun. Be a white bearded old man wearing a cowboy hat instead of a helmet, showing these young kids how it is to ride, You got a little more learning to do, kid, That was the fun side of it, But there was a part of me, and I still feel it, even as I'm talking about it, that just loved the thrill of challenging the edge of death, of pushing yourself, not just on motorcycles, but in cars and trucks. Because I was a real skilled driver, and so, I fudged it a bit here and there and pushed it right to the edge. Like, for example, there was this canyon down there in Arizona that had a new freeway built through it that was like a racetrack built for an 18-wheeler, man. Gosh, I love that. Besides, it was spectacular gorgeous, but, when I was driving like that, when I had the hammer down going down through that canyon and I wasn't slowing down for nobody or nothing, unless they got in my way, of course. As long as everybody's out of my way, I was hauling ass down that canyon. Jeez, I'd look in my rearview mirrors after I passed the tourists back there. Because you got to understand, it's a real ruggedy, beautiful, but deep and gnarly canyon, They built a freeway right over the top of the river, and it's so narrow in places. So there's some real sweet curves there, I could hit them about 75, 80, and just barely hang the edge of it. Just barely keep it underneath me. But barely was good enough, you know what I mean? I did a little way too much of that kind of stuff in my life, but I'm still alive, living, and telling about it. And it's more than likely because I had angels all the time with me, and they just liked me. They did not want to see me dead, but I couldn't help but challenge that death. Because, there was part of me that was proving to myself that I deserved to live, and that I wasn't going to die no matter what I did. Now, some people don't live to tell about such energies as that and experiences like that, because, they're just not as blessed and fortunate as I was, at least in that way. Sometimes it's a gift to go home. Maybe your life's totally miserable, and on the other side, baby, it ain't. It's beautiful, man. The minute you step out of your body, you know that experience, you know that love. That's your family, man. That's your real life, See, so what we're doing now, and that's part of the reason why I did this challenging thing towards that death all of my life. What we're doing now is bringing death to life, you see. I had to dance with her a lot, and it wasn't just in, wild and hairy, crazy driving stunts and horse rides straight up the mountain, stuff like that. I mean, just crazy stuff. It wasn't just that. I mean, my health would be challenged every now and then I'd go to the edge of death again, and I would find life every time I went to death, And now I realize, many years later that, each time I've gone there. And, because I started dying when I was a little kid, 5, 7 years old. I can't remember exactly, but, one time I drowned, one time I got kicked by a horse, stomped on by a horse, stuff like that. You know what I mean? There was a lot of that in my life too, So I don't know, 3 or 4 times before I was 21, I was probably out of my body, floating around with St. Mary and having a good time. Yeah, I'll call her St. Mary. I know it's not a Catholic thing with me. Mary Jane's a saint to me always. And Mother Mary just reflects her energy. I'll never forget the first time I consciously encountered her. And she's one of those divine angels that watches out for children, believe me. I come to find that out personally. Again, as a part of the experience that brings you back to life, that supersedes your death. Because there is no death. There's only living. There is no separation from life. Not ever. You see, Terence McKenna says, go to sleep and see yourself staying asleep forever, It doesn't do that. You can't. We're living constantly. Even when we're sleeping, we're dreaming and traveling all over the universe in our soul presence, and forgetting it as soon as we, quote, quote, wake back up. Yeah, we wake up to death. In sleep, we've been living life. We've been remembering what it is. We get those shadows and glimmers and memories of it after we, quote, quote, wake up. But we never truthfully wake up. We've been sleepwalking all the way through this life. That's why we think death is a horrible thing, and we don't want to go there, because you don't remember the great love. At least you don't think you do. It's in you. You see. Darlings, you don't have to challenge it. You don't have to push it. You don't have to let the depression take you there, because it sure as hell will, man. If you get feeling down about it, it's time to process that feeling. It's time to go inside, find the love in it, find the life in it, release it. See the comfort you've got from your pain. See the comfort you got from the darkness. And then you can see why you love it. And then you can turn around and see the love expanding into everything. And then you see it's all light, you see. It's the same basic principle as challenging death. The more we go to death in this lifetime anyway, in my lifetime, and many others like me in their own way, we bring death to life each time we've gone to that experience. And that's probably why we've lived such wild and challenging lives, is because it's all about union. It's all about awakening the dead that think they're living. And in so doing, superseding the death that would have taken you back to the living by bringing the living here inside of ourselves and seeing clear what we are. That's why the angels will protect you. If you got that kind of energy going on, you're a key figure here, and baby, they want you well and happy, but they also want you dancing that edge of death. Don't go pushing it, but dancing that edge of death. It'll come to you. See, right now we're going through it again. I know physically I am going through major realignments inside of my personal being. Yes, indeedy. I mean, it covers all levels. It ain't just physical, but there are changes in my physicality. And some of them are a little difficult to take, having to release some real ancient and hard-held energy in this skinny little carcass of mine, man, But it leads to a complete realignment of your soul presence and your heart presence and your physical presence, your mind and heart working in unity, because this is what's happening to me. So it's personal experience, don't you see? Because you come back in complete alignment with the heart, you get full capacity of the mind in the experiences of life now. Because it works in unity with the heart, which is the true consciousness. The mind is only an implement, an instrument, much like a creative computer in the heart's hands. You see, the heart is the operator. It is the instigator of life. And therefore it pretty much determines and predicates what's going to be going on here, you see. The more we experience that, the more we give rest to death. Because we come back to life, instead of being sleepwalking and dead in this life. We acknowledge where we've been and see where we're going, because we acknowledge where we've been. We see the direction and flow of the love, where it's taken us through all these crazy experiences. Life on the edge. That's what I say on my book, The Atomic Bum. Life on the Edge. That's my predecessor. That's my little slogan at the top of the cover there that kind of sets the tone for the whole work. And you know, I explained some of this in there. I couldn't understand it quite as clearly as I do now when I wrote that piece, but I sure got it now, baby. And I'm getting more of it all the time, but it's very, very well expressed in the atomic bum. And babies, you movie makers out there, or you people that do that kind of work, ought to take a look at that little atomic bum and then talk to me, because I can sure fatten the story out now. We can make one hell of a movie out of it. Lessons in life, well learned, man, and ascension because some silly cowboy can make it through. How about you, cowgirl? Can you do that too? I think you have. I think we ought to do a book on everybody's story in a movie. They're going to do. Oh, guess what? We're living it right now. It is a movie, baby. And the universe is our audience, and they're loving it. Oh, baby. Grandpa getting your wake-up call underway pretty good today? Getting you rattled back to life just a wee little bit? Oh, darlings, I tell you. The Coyote Medicine Show on the Hazy Radio Network. Ooh, loving his network you ever found. And now your happy heart can dance around, because you're starting to catch on, John. And Jungle Jane, oh, we love you, heart and brain. Ooh, babies. All of you, babies. We just flying high here with Grandpa Koyote, the grandfather of love. Yes, indeedy himself. Ooh, babies. I can see it boiling over, man. Getting high, happy. Free Day Friday here on the Coyote Medicine Show. And babies, we're getting free, don't you know? Wow, you never know what you're going to get here. Better stay tuned in, dear. Ooh, gets better and better. Ooh, man. Just, ooh, ow, 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 ow. Wow. And then some.